What's up, guys? Welcome back to season 2 of Ivy League Mindset. We're kicking the season off with our buddy Justin Konikow. Today, Hawk and I are going to get into his mindset, learn a little bit about what he's all about. Justin's a community leader. He's an entrepreneur. He's a BJJ Blue Belt, and he's one of our good friends. So, Justin, why don't you give our listeners a little bit of a summary and who you are and what you do?
Okay. Well, my name is Justin Konikow. I own Prime Real Estate with my wife, which is a real estate brokerage. So we obviously do sales and marketing for the real estate world, but we look at ourselves as community builders, right? Like real estate agents don't actually build houses and we don't make inventory. We connect people with product and, watch out for them throughout the entire transaction. Truthfully, I've known Dan for a long time. We took marketing together and was kind of watch each other grow into, what we've become today. And, I think Dan knows this from my past. I like people. I like meeting people. I love what I do from a real estate perspective because I'm kind of desensitized to it now, but I get to go into thousands of homes a year. I get to see the city developing in different lights. So I can see areas that are really struggling and bring investors to those areas, businesses to those areas. From an economic perspective, it could be a good investment from them. Slowly but surely over time goes on, you see like what happened with the Dundas Street Improvement Plan. You can have a really big impact on your city over time if you do business the right way with the right people. And again, it's not my money that is necessarily being invested, but it's just connecting the community with the product. We have a team of 13 right now. So we have 3 staff. The balance are agents. A little bit of insight for your listeners. Your typical real estate brokerage is top-down perspective, broker of record, a pile of agents, and they just give a piece of commission to the broker, and then the broker does some marketing maybe for them, and then transaction coordination, but doesn't actually handle their files directly. The agents handle the files for their clients. While the listings are still held by the brokerage, it's still independent contractors. We're a little bit different from the standpoint that when we started the company, we never wanted to be a sales office. We were myself, my wife, and one other agent that were doing all of our clients ourselves. When we grew to the point where we had no business, we brought on another agent, apprenticed them on exactly how we do business, rolled them out, and did the same thing over and over, kind of rinse and repeat. So it's our secret sauce, it's our systems and processes. The client care is at the standard that we expect every single time. And then we've kind of grown into a bit of a media company as well too. Like, as you know, with this podcast we're doing right now, it's important to go beyond the scope of just the transaction. And that's kind of where I feel I'm spoiled as, being the business that I'm in. I get to sit down and connect with so many fun people, do it from, a marketing perspective. And it typically leads to business because who doesn't need to buy or sell a home, or who, doesn't need to have an office or buy a building or something at one point or another. So we've managed to integrate, the sales and the marketing together into one big beast.
That's cool. And that's so the media just sort of like fell into your lap, I guess, the way you did it and the way things are going nowadays with video and audio and things like that.
Yeah, it did. Like in 2012, I was doing video for all of my listings, and I was told I was crazy by everybody in my market. Agents typically take photos and put a sign up, and that was usually the extent of the marketing. I'm a little bit different in how I'd like to go out and get people's attention. So we were doing videos, and it caught on probably about 2015. I started seeing other agents doing it because once you see sellers that see that type of stuff, they want it for their listings. They kind of got to catch up, right? But, I don't mind sharing our tips and tricks. I do it all the time. Agents DM me and I tell them this exactly how we do it, because it's almost like once you give away your trick, just like jiu-jitsu, Hawk, you have to go find another trick. So just like we're doing, videos in 2015, we were doing podcast and voice before it really became super, super popular. And we're already thinking about what's coming around the corner. So it forces you to adapt, or you're forcing yourself to adapt by giving away your best tips and tricks, right?
For sure.
I really respect that you're not afraid to give out your information and tips on how to be better at all this stuff, right? So I think that's one of the biggest things I respect about you, for sure.
I appreciate that. And you do it too in jiu-jitsu, right? If we roll and you tap me out, which you do quite frequently, you'll have a conversation with me about it right after. It's literally the exact same mindset, right? We were just talking about jiu-jitsu trainings before this, and kind of the mindsets and the politics that come with that. But, if I tap a guy out and he's a white belt, I clearly have an advantage over him because I've done it and I understand the mechanisms that go behind it. Or if I'm lifting or doing health and fitness and squatting, whatever, and I know, hey, I put in so many reps, this is how you can hurt yourself, or this is how you can do it right. You share that piece of information with a guy, especially in jiu-jitsu, he now knows how to block what you're going to do, so you got to go do something else. So like, it's truly my mindset that it's not the instinctive thing to do, but by putting yourself out there and giving away your best stuff, it's going to force you to maybe stay up an extra hour at night and Google something somebody's doing in another market and learn a new skill set, right? And just add that to your toolbox.
Is that something that you learned through doing jiu-jitsu?
All day long. Like I've told Rowan this a whole pile of times since I started. The practical applications of what I do in sales and marketing and real estate are very similar to jiu-jitsu. And you know, I use jiu-jitsu in a lot of these conversations. Like when I speak with Scott McGilvery's group, Michael Saracini, I speak every 4 months at their summits, and I do a panel typically on negotiations. And I explain to a lot of the investors that are there that, you know, when I got into the business, I was a white belt. And I'm like, just like jiu-jitsu, when I roll with a black belt, I get a lot better. So I'm like, if you're a white belt investor, then you should saddle up with a black belt investor, and you should learn their tips and tricks and shortcuts because they made the mistakes to kind of get there. So you can level up in any industry. It doesn't matter if it's real estate. It doesn't matter if it's jiu-jitsu, health and fitness. If I literally, I'm a weird dude. Like I'll walk down the street and I'll walk into a coffee shop and I'll start talking to the guy about his coffee shop. I'll walk into Dundas Street right now that's under construction, and I'll talk to the struggling businesses and try to give them ways to generate business and be like, are you guys like reaching into your DMs and like driving traffic? And they're like, no, what do you mean? I'm like, literally open Instagram, go to hashtag London, Ontario, go through every single person and say, hey, come in for a free coffee. Hey, do this. Hey, like you could sit down and do 100 DMs a day and I bet you get 10 customers. And I've never thought of doing that. I'm like, it's free. You're sitting here complaining that there's no traffic because there's construction. I'm like, take the responsibility of going out and getting the traffic, right? And it's same thing going back to what you said about jiu-jitsu. I had a really hard time getting out of side control for the longest time. I'm kind of a skinny dude and I'm rolling with big guys. I went and looked it up. I literally went on YouTube. I talked to Jesse and I'm like, Jesse, like, what do you do when you're dealing with bigger dudes? And he's like, oh, just do this little framework and then don't worry about what they're doing. Just get a little bit of space at the bottom and then do this. And like, we rolled one day and he showed me the trick actually from side control. Yeah. Like, don't go that way, go this way, right? So that's what I think the conversation is going to is look into others to kind of help you level up, but you're only going to find that with people that have that same mindset that aren't afraid to share, right?
Yeah. Speaking on that, I like that you say to saddle up with a black belt. I think it goes with letting your ego down with the learning aspect. Mm-hmm. So if you let your ego down, it allows you to learn. Not only with a black belt, but when you get to a blue belt, you can still learn something from a white belt. You know what I mean? Just like life, real estate, whatever, right?
There's like, I always say this with the guys that we're really close with, that we roll with a lot. You can get comfortable just rolling with blue belts and black belts and brown belts because you know there's a certain level of care. They know what they're doing. You're not going to get hurt. Yeah. You got to roll with the spazzy white belt sometimes because that guy's out there. Just like if you're playing poker or blackjack and you go to a party and somebody's never played it before, they're not going to follow the rules and play things how I don't gamble, but like I do know that premise that people get frustrated if people aren't playing the right way. It kind of messes things up, but that chaos is out there. Yeah. Same with real estate, right? Like I can walk into a deal with an agent that I know is a certain caliber and a certain level, and we can get to the end of a transaction where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. I've had, white belt realtors that I've dealt with where I walk into and it's chaos, but you got to be able to navigate that, put your ego aside. Real estate's a big industry where I think agents need to leave their egos aside. It's too easy to put yourself front and center, get cocky and think, I'm the be all and end all of my industry. They almost have to, like, the fake Instagram photos in front of cars, flexing, like the Instagram models and all that stuff. Like that's going away very quickly. I worked for a short period of time and I think some people fooled the general public with that image and persona. But, like I just told the team that this week, like I've been in it for a little bit, but I still consider myself, I'm maybe like a 2-stripe blue belt. Mm-hmm. Like when it comes to negotiation and fighting for my clients, I'm a black belt all day long. Like I get it done and I've got systems and processes to get me to that level. But I'm constantly going back and reviewing my showing techniques, how I'm intaking clients, how I can drive more traffic for my builder. I just got off a 1-hour call, holding myself to accountability and saying, the market's not great. We understand that. I'm not going to sit here and complain about the market. How am I going to get more brokers through? How can I do this? How can I serve you better? So I think the conversation that you just had about ego, is one of the most central components of all people's lives. And if you can put the ego aside, you can grow and be more satisfied with your life through attrition. If you just keep your ego central, you're always going to be complaining and wondering why you don't have more, or complaining about the other guy that's brand new in the industry who's, you know, leaps and bounds ahead of you. Well, instead of worrying about him, just go and create your own path and forge your own path, right?
When you teach too, you actually hone in on your own skill, don't you think?
Very much so. Again, I'll keep going back to jiu-jitsu. It's a health and fitness podcast, right? So
a little bit of everything. Like this season, we're doing a lot of jiu-jitsu, a lot of health and fitness, a little bit of everything. Because it's learning from everything, right?
It translates, right? I'll give a shout out to people thinking about doing jiu-jitsu. Just do it because it does translate. But like I do that actively when I roll because I get way better. So like I love rolling with white belts and then showing them a couple of my go-to moves and whatnot because I get better every time I teach it. Same thing with my team. So like I did a tour with one of my agents this morning. Shout out to Betty Kalai, she crushed it. And she has her style, I have my style. I had just gone through a whole training seminar on adding more value on a buyer tour. So I spent 2 hours with her this morning and some clients going through properties, trying to add value, but like honing that skill, but then teaching her at the same time how I approach things made me think about it. And like even just saying stuff out loud, you realize, well, do I actually believe that or do I not believe it? Like if I was the client, would I respect that? Or, you know, how is that actually bringing value? Or is it just bringing value to the guy who's saying it? Well, if that's the case, maybe it doesn't matter to the client. Maybe we should hone that skill in, right? So teaching definitely makes you better.
That's one thing I really enjoy about actually teaching anything, right? Is the different reactions from each person, right? So just because you teach this one thing to this person, they might get it right away. Dan might give me a different reaction. It's collecting those reactions. So, okay, a similar reaction, you learn more, right?
Everybody's got a different end game, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to be a professional jiu-jitsu athlete by any means, right? Like I just know where my priorities are.
Yeah.
It takes me longer to learn things. I like getting better at things I suck at. It always has helped me get better in other aspects of my life because you realize things are attainable. But at the same time, like if you're teaching 7 different people, there's guys at the gym that are there twice a week, every single day because they're pro fighters. And then there's guys like myself that and my goal is to get a black belt. If it takes me 50 years, it takes me 50 years, right? Like I'll do what I need to do to get there. But it's fun to get inspired by other people. Like a buddy of mine, again, this is like a shout out episode. Grant McDonald came in yesterday from Valley Road Properties. I met Grant a long time ago, started doing some investments with us. We became really good friends and we spent a good amount of time going through some properties yesterday and then just chatting about business and kind of where he's going with things. And he got fired up, gave me some ideas. And it's just like, the world's a fun place if you can open your mind up to how other people view it, you know, maintain your structure of how you want to live your life and not feel like you have to live it like anybody else, but you know, take bits and pieces and add it to your life. You can get a lot from that.
Yeah, that's goes into like the authentic. I feel like you do a lot of authentic networking, and like even you saying you go to a coffee shop and you give them tips and stuff. You know what I mean?
It's fun.
Yeah. I used to make fun of I said this a few times, but I used to make fun of my dad for just talking to everybody. I'm like, oh my God, this guy just wants to talk to everybody.
Yep.
But now I'm doing that too. You know what I mean? But you build these small relationships here and there, and they build up to something.
They definitely do. Everybody's a friend. Actually, Ryan Serhan told me that when I went to meet him. Everybody's just a friend that you haven't met yet, right? Mm-hmm. Not everybody is, because sometimes you talk to some people and you know they don't want anything to do with you, and you can't brighten their day no matter how big the smile is. But, you know, it's funny, I thought about something he had said to me a while ago when I was in the bank the other day, and I walked in and I had a pile of stuff to do. My calendar is jammed, you know, I'm in it. I'm in the daily grind, right? And, you know, I hate it when people ask you, like, how are you? And the standard response is busy. I never say that because I just want to say, life's good, man. Like, all things considered, things are great. But I was in the bank and I was in that whirlwind and I'm just earpods in, I'm on my phone. The young guy standing in front of me processing checks for the brokerage. And I'm like, what am I doing? I put my earpods away, put my phone down. And then I was like, isn't it crazy that TD's open till 8 p.m.? Yeah. Right? And it was TD. And he's like, yeah, it's nuts. And I'm like, man, I remember the day it was closed at like 4. Like, yeah. I don't know how people did business back then.
That's it.
Like, I'm like, it should be closed Sundays because you need a day off. But we just talked and I left and like, we had a good conversation. And I left happier for it. I felt like I kind of broke through on him a little bit because it wasn't his standard. He wasn't just a number to that person that I'm not just coming, here's my checks and process them and I'm gone out the door. Yeah, I treated him like a human. He treated me like a human. And I had a pep in my step because of that, right? So, you know, two parts to that. One, when I got in the business, I was told to do networking a way I did not want to do it. So I was told, Facebook, every one of your friends, tell them I'm Justin from ABC Real Estate Brokerage. I'm in the business. I did that to 3 of my friends and they all chirped me. And I laughed and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, you're right. And then they said the same thing from a networking perspective. Get a stack of business cards, go to networking events, hand your cards out. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I would rather network in places that I just genuinely like meeting people and learning and everything else. So like we do stuff with Tech Alliance, we do stuff with LEDC, Chamber of Commerce. But I go where I'm passionate. Like 2 of my agents are doing every Thursday. You'll see it online today. Jamie and Nathan are doing something at Caps Off Brewery.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're doing basically like a business session, you know, just for local business owners and going through different things, right? Like I'll go to that because it's not like I'm going there networking saying, would you like to buy or sell a house with me? A, it's to support 2 guys that I work with that are friends. B, there's some cool stuff happening in St. Thomas. So I'm happy to support the community. So like, I think to circle back to your question, networking and things you're genuinely interested translates. If you're going to do things just to check a box, don't bother because nobody's going to notice you or even care that you're there.
Yeah, we talked about that in an episode we will record for this season. Is just like doing things that are just natural to you. Like I went to one of Corey's beer and workout things at Anderson, and it was just like, that's what I like to do, working out, and then you're in the element where other people like to do what you're doing, and it's just an easy flowing conversation instead of walking around the room, hi, my name's this, here's my business card, hi, my name's this, here's my business card, and it's like some people are down for that, but it's not natural and it doesn't flow.
It feels weird to me. Maybe I'm socially awkward, but like when I'm in those areas and that's happening, it's kind of, you hear the same conversations happening over and over. And I'm like, are we in like Stepford Wives, like Pleasantville? Like what is happening here? And people are just flowing, oh, hey, I'm Johnny, you know, I'm Uncle Jimmy, the financial accountant. What do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm Justin, I'm a human being. I do a lot of things. Like, where do you want the conversation to go, right? Like, you know, how are your kids? What are you passionate about? And like, that's where true relationships happen, right? When you find that and not everybody's going to link up and be friends. And that's just life, right? But you'll find you'll gravitate to some amazing people if you're doing it with genuine intent.
Mm-hmm. So you're a busy guy. You're everywhere and anywhere. Talk about like your mindset of how you balance everything. Like you do jiu-jitsu. I know you train. You're out and about in the community. You have a family. Like how do you balance all of that?
I don't. It's the easiest way to answer it. It's anybody that says that they've got a perfect balance is a liar. The way I look at it is like you've got 5 cups, right? And I actually meant to put this on a board for my team members of the office and have them all just put it in. Basically have cups for different things in their lives. I look at it from a personal perspective of like 1 cup is my family, right? So how am I doing as a family unit? 1 is my relationship with my wife. 1 is my relationship with my daughter. 1 is my, you know, relationship as a businessman or like say, you know, prime real estate as a broker. And then, you know, how's my personal cup doing? And say you've got 10 1-liter cups, or I'm trying to do the math here. Say you've got, you know, 10 5-liter cups and you've only got 10 liters of water. You can only keep those cups at varying levels, right? So your family life and your relationship with your spouse might be at a 2, but your work cup's at a 10. And then your, you know, your personal cup's at like a 4. How do you balance those cups out? And I try to be super cognizant and self-aware of where I'm at in different spots depending on life. Like we were away for 2 weeks for a vacation. I got back and I told my wife, I got to run my work cup at a 10. I was running it at like a 5 and a 6 while we were gone. I actually got more work done because I was more structured when I was away. But, you know, I'm also conscious that we've been back for a bit. As much as she understands where we're at, I want to bump that cup up. So I'm going to take a day off and we're going to go to the drive-in theater with Faith and watch a movie and have some fun. We're going to take a day off, maybe go to the Pine. Like, you got to be self-aware of where you are. You got to communicate with your spouse the issues that are pressing in your life, because the worst thing that you can do in a relationship is just be basically roommates passing through the house, you know, frustrated about different things, not communicating what your issues are, or like I would say over communicate with your spouse just so that they understand where things are going on. And like it can get lost in translation, where I said to her the other day, I'm like, what I'm doing is to build something for you in faith forever so you don't ever have to worry, right? Like, I don't necessarily want to stay out till 10, 11 o'clock at night sometimes, but A, it's to serve our clients, and B, it's for legacy. So we have something for the future, right? And it takes sacrifice, and you don't have to do that, right? Like, I think there's a big misnomer in the community where you got to grind, you got to hustle, you got to keep up with the Joneses and do all that stuff. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. Like, I don't really enjoy going out and partying. I don't. I did it when I was younger. I quit drinking 6 years ago as a personal choice. Health and fitness is more important to me. I'd rather work out than go out for a night on the town. If you like going out for a night on the town, that's totally your jam. Like, I'm happy for you. I don't just understand it because I'm just not built that way, right? So I think not everybody needs to hustle and grind and build something, because the grass isn't always greener. And I kind of want to cap off that portion by saying, you know, you have your cups, you have what's important to you, but depending on what you're building, you got to figure out why you're building it, rather than the sake of just working for the sake of being a workaholic. But B, you know, that comes with things that suck. So some people look at people online, and that's one of the biggest issues we have, is you're only seeing a glimmer of what it is, right?
100%.
Like, I look busier than I am online because I'm organized to the point where I have a team that's better at what their jobs are than I am. Like, there's a reason why I have 13 team members. It's not so that you can hire me and I just pass you off to one of those guys. It's so that nothing ever gets missed. So if I'm tied up doing something or connecting with somebody that I think might in turn help sell your property, and we actually get a showing, I've got somebody that can show that property, right? Because any agent that tells you they can do it all isn't going to be able to. They're not going to be able to manage the social media. They're not going to be able to be there for a showing. They're going to be overwhelmed. They're going to drop the ball. It's going to affect you down the road. So, but all of that, you know, structure and everything else is just something that I built for myself because I enjoy it and it's fun for me. I enjoy the attrition. I enjoy the challenge of it. It drives some of my other friends nuts. Like, I still remember, I've said this in different podcasts, one of my friends, when I used to work at, it was Cool's and Jim Bob's. And I was working one night, slugging garbage while everybody else was partying. I liked it. I would work 70-hour weeks. Everybody would be partying, and I'm running through the bar with cases of beer. I was a bar back then. I was a bartender, supervisor, manager. I did every job, right?
I saw you, man. Yeah, running around with the bags of ice. You did it.
I didn't care. I'd have 2 dripping bags of garbage in my hands, and I'd be excited to see my friend. And I'm like, if you judge me for that, you're a loser anyway, so I don't really care. But one person in specific stands out. I still remember this, and he said he felt bad for me. He told me. He's like, I'm like, why? He's like, well, all you do is work. He's like, you never party. You're not enjoying life. I'm like, all right, whatever. I didn't think about it till literally a decade later. And I thought back after, you know, I made changes in my life and everything else, and I'm happy now. I look back and I'm like, oh, you were a crab in a bucket, dude. Like, you were trying to pull me down because there was something in your life that you weren't happy with, and you weren't going anywhere, and you're in the same place that you were when I left there a decade ago. Like, nothing had changed in his life. And it made me realize, like, not to let other people judge your path and what you're doing with your life. Because the way you see it, just like we were talking about, talking to all different people and taking bits and pieces of what they enjoy doing and making your own path, it's the same thing, right? Like, it is your path. And we're all going to die any day. And we're all going to end up in the same place, no matter how much money you have, any business, anything else. So, like, what's the legacy that you're leaving at the end of the day? I guess that's what drives me. And I build my life around that.
Yeah, I like that. I like how you put legacy. And it's having that long-term mindset, right? It's not like doing things for today or tomorrow or the next day. It's the 20, 30, 40 years down the road where you might be whatever, and your daughter's 20, and you have all this free time to do stuff with her now instead of the whatever it is now. And yeah, I like how you go for the legacy, because that's what it's all about, right?
I definitely think so. I think, like, one thing I'm being more conscious of now than I was before is taking time now, because I can literally get hit by a truck tomorrow. So if I'm not taking time with my daughter, I love seeing the stuff that you post online with your kid, Hawk, because it shows, like, you're incorporating your kid into your life. Like, your kid's working out with you. Like, a lot of people just put things in a box. They're like, I need my me time. I'm like, our kid's always with us. Like, we always travel with her. If she comes downstairs in the morning, she'll work out with me if she wakes up early enough and I'm down there. And I need to get better at that. Like, I'm putting this out there and I'm going to hold myself accountable to it, where, like, consciously I need to make more time to make sure that I'm doing as much now as I am, because if I do get hit by a truck, the legacy I want her to think is my dad was a rock star, right? I want my team to not be like, oh man, he nickel and dimed us for. I want my team to think, oh man, he outgave us. Like, I can't believe that. Like, he would just give us this book of business and introduce us to all these people. And I heard a good one. They're like, what happens if the team leader gets hit by a truck or a meteor drops on the person? I'm like, in my mind, was the same as the answer I heard, where they're like, well, I've equipped my team of people that they'll be fine. They'll go work at independent places. Maybe they'll open their own shop. They'll crush it because I gave them a skill set that they're never going to forget. And I didn't cut them out of a deal because I wanted to be selfish. And I've never done that in my life. I've had it happen the other way, where in partnerships and in business and in real estate, you do things out of good faith, and then all of a sudden a deal was done behind your back that you were flabbergasted about. It happens, and you can hang on to that. You can be super, super negative, and you can let that be your narrative, or you can let the balloons go, move on to positivity, and just say, I'm never going to do that to anybody. And it's funny because I've seen the other side of it, where it happens to people. They leave. They have very bad long-term memory. They have okay short-term memory. A year later, they're in the exact same spot with the exact same person. They get burned again. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that didn't happen. Or they do the same thing that person did to somebody else. And you just sit there and laugh if you have a long-term vision. You're like, man, you don't even realize that you're setting yourself up for that same negativity, attraction device that this person has. That's going to be your narrative. And it's just how you do things begets how things are done to you, right? So you start putting that out there, and that becomes your narrative. Things seem to happen to you that are bad, and I prefer to let it go and just go away and just focus on the positive.
I like how you always circle back to doing your own thing, like doing your thing, your narrative, like being positive and doing you, right? Don't let these other people dictate your day. I saw this thing this morning, I forget who posted it, but if something bad happened to you this morning, that it's a small thing, 10 minutes, are you going to let that dictate your whole day or your whole week, right? Or are you going to let it go and continue on with your day, right?
Yeah, and like I always use the comparison of cutting somebody off in traffic. Go either way, right? Like, say you do it by accident, right? Say I cut you off in traffic and you don't know me and you're a big burly biker, and I look in my rearview mirror and you're flipping me the bird and you're all upset and everything else, or you're just some normal guy that starts getting upset at me and I pull over and our windows come up. I've got two choices, right? I can either respond, and we're both in the red zone, so I can get aggressive with you. Next thing I know, we could be scrapping on the floor. If it's hawk, I'm in a lot of trouble. So that could go really badly for me, or we can just, offend each other and then go on our merry way and spend the rest of the day like George Costanza running through the scenario in our head saying, oh, that's what I would have said to that guy. It's happened to every single person listening to this podcast, right? If it's not, you're an alien and I'm going to report you. But try the next time something happens like that, you cut somebody off, or somebody does something to you and you instantly get the reaction that you want to respond in a negative way. Extend grace for a minute. Give yourself like 60 seconds and breathe, or 4 minutes preferably. If you let it go and just go on your merry way, or apologize in a situation where you did nothing wrong, you forget about it and the rest of your day is fine. If you have that negative connotation or you reply with any sort of conflict, you have a bitter taste in your mouth for the rest of the day.
You're almost feeding it.
You 100% you're feeding it, right? And like, I always say negativity has a way bigger chance of sticking around in your head. A lot like Mike Smith, one of my mentors, I talked to about this, and he said, you'll always remember the things that go wrong way more than the massive successes you had. Social media is proof of it. That's why the Facebook algorithm and Instagram algorithm, it stirs conflict. I don't get involved in it. I don't go on Twitter and argue with people. I see trolls or people that are negative on my feed, I block them. That's another little tip I like giving people when I chat with them is curate your feeds. Like, people are blaming social media for, negativity and privacy issues and stuff like that. It's your fault. Like, if you're putting your stuff out there, then you don't blame Facebook. Don't put your stuff out there and delete Facebook. Nobody asks you to have the platform or use the platform. It's free. If you're seeing stuff in your platform that you don't like, delete the people. Don't hide in your echo chamber, pretend that you don't have different opinions or different people aren't out there. I think, exposure to different ideas is very important. But there's one guy specifically, every time I post something in London, he would just go on a tangent about, property development, how bad real estate agents are too. And I'm like, I actually tried to engage him in conversation. there's no engaging him. Like, he's super negative and he has no idea what my background is or where I came from. And he just started calling me entitled and this, that, and the other. I'm like, dude, like, I built this from nothing. I had some issues coming up that I had to fight through. And he was just talking to a crowd. He just wanted to talk so his voice could be heard. Those people I can do without.
I like that you tried.
I tried over and over. I DM'd him. I texted him.
Yep.
I just, honestly, it got to the point where I'm like, you're a time vampire.
That's
like,
it.
You want attention, right? And I'm not going to give it to you.
Something like you said before, like some people, you feel bad for these people that put that negative thing on you, but they have something inside them that they're insecure about, right? So I feel bad for those people too, and you try to help them, but if they don't want it, they don't want it too, right? So
you can see it. I mean, usually when people are blasting you about stuff, it's usually an insecurity that they have
100%.
that they're projecting outwardly towards you. And sometimes it is something that's wrong with the way you're handling a situation. Like, I also like constructive criticism. I told my site supervisor at our new build site, I'm like, tell me everything that you think is wrong and everything that you think is right, and we'll figure it out, right? Like, I'm not sensitive. Like, at the end of the day, we're all going to be dead and gone. Like I said earlier, it's houses and properties and everything else. So we'll figure it out. Like, first world problems at the end of the day, right? Mm-hmm. And then, when it comes to the heart of it, people, again, let's be more self-aware as to why you're projecting that type of personality, or why that negativity exists in you, or why you feel you need to tear other people down to make yourself feel better. Because it's not a good way to live your life, and there's a toll it takes on you as a person.
Oh, for sure. It's like a weight that you just can't get off you, and you feel so much freer when you don't have it, right?
For sure. You know what? Like, I dealt with it myself personally. I had very sarcastic humor and wit sometimes, very dry. I don't know why. Maybe it was back from my previous experiences, but it took time for me to get rid of it. And it's still not completely gone. Like, I consciously try and not give those sarcastic quips to anybody, because, like, as funny or timely as anything else as it might be, I don't know the impact it's going to have on them, and it's not adding anything to their life. So I'm still constantly trying to get better at my communication style, because that's what it's all about, right?
For sure. One thing we love about you is how you love to showcase people in the community. Like, you love to build your tower, and you also love to help everyone else build their tower too, which is something like we're all about too. Prime People is something you've been doing lately?
Yeah, so we started at Hybrid, was our first episode a long time ago.
You and Tommy?
Yeah, it was 2000. The first one was with Tommy, then it was with Dan Phillips from Aylbury and Goose. Then it was with Ashton Buck from Rise and Grind Coffee. Then it was with Brian Elliott from Habitat for Humanity. Goes on and on, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're pumping them out now. We just did the one with the beef eaters. That was killer. And it's literally just sitting down like this and chatting with them. Who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it? And how can I help you? Right? And it's kind of counterintuitive because it's not directly real estate related, but it's fun. Like, I'm kind of spoiled because I get to run with it and do with it. And a lot of these people I've worked with in different capacities, and I'm like, holy moly, like Habitat for Humanity, I didn't understand how it worked. But I got hooked up with Habitat for Humanity with Scott McGilvery, who we do some work with. And then I'm like, London needs to know what's going on with you guys. So we did the video, we shot it for them. It's giving back to the community for everything the community's given us. We're literally just saying, hey, like, we live in one of the best cities in North America. People need to know about it. There's some awesome people doing some awesome things. If we can be a blip on their radar, like we were talking about jazz earlier, if we can inspire other people to do things that they may not think they can do, that's our legacy. And that's what it's all about. It has nothing to do with, they're not paying me to shoot the videos. I actually don't want anything from them. Some of them are like, okay, how can I get you real? I'm like, it's not about a real estate transaction. It's just about giving back because we feel like we've been blessed with so much.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fun, man.
Yeah,
I'll have you guys on the episode anyways, and we'll do it somewhere else where I'm not overdressed. Right?
But I love that you keep it fun. When I first met you, Adrenaline, shout out to them.
ATC.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Come roll if you want to try some jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. When I first met you, I saw a person in the corner doing handstands. I don't know. You probably don't remember that.
Yeah.
You're big into calisthenics, which is another humbling thing. Jiu-jitsu, very humbling.
Yeah.
Why did you choose... I know the reasons I chose calisthenics, but why did you choose body weight training?
It started with an injury. I had a really bad left hip, really bad, diagnosed with a full-blown hip replacement, and they were going to have to, literally take it out and fix it. By the grace of God, I ended up having something happen that the pain was completely gone and I can live with it without having the surgery. But regardless of that, I'd given up compound lifting. I think I spent a lot of time lifting, not knowing what I was doing. So during that time I went into calisthenics. I just fell in love with it because it was super challenging. Like try and do a back lever, try and do a handstand. And I mean, it's probably the slowest starting type of health and fitness stuff you can do. But once you start getting these little glimmers of, oh, I can do that, you become incredibly powerful and mindset wise. And you're like, okay, like let's get to the next level. And then you could take a little bit of a break and go back to it and then hit a handstand. And you're like, oh, that was way easier than it was the first time I ever tried. Right. So like, then you can do it anywhere. Like I travel a lot for work and I throw my rings in my bag. I usually carry a TRX, kettlebell, and then a set of rings. I have it in my bag. So it doesn't matter where I go. I can hit a tree. Usually I can hit a hotel gym and get a killer workout with just those 3 things.
Yeah. With what you said about that small progression in body weight, and when you hit that first goal, like say a handstand, I tried for 25 years to hit a handstand. I couldn't until I started doing body weight stuff, and slowly things started to connect. It teaches you almost something about when you grind for your goal, put energy towards this goal, and do it consistently over time. Things will happen. Yep. They have to happen.
Yep.
Right. Even if you don't see anything.
I started training Chad actually. The one day we were going to the beach, we were training in Grand Bend, and literally we started doing handstands from step 1. And he's a football dude. He's a strong kid, and he started there. I remember I was looking, kind of going through our process. I'm like, I remember that, like, and I was actually reading a book right now called The War of Art. And it's for artists and comedians and people along those ilk that are in the entertainment world, but it talks about showing up and doing the work consistently over time. Even if the work sucks, if you show up and you do it consistently over time, it's gonna happen. It cannot happen, right?
Yeah, it has to. That's it.
Or things will happen and the goals change. Or like when I started doing calisthenics, I went to hybrid. I remember Will was there and he's like, "You're doing great." He's like, "You're overworking yourself." Because I would go in and I'd go in intense and I'd be like, okay, 30-second tap that was on every one I'm doing. He's like, "You're not going to progress because you need more time under tension."
Yeah.
But that's, again, tie that in with, show up and do the work, but humble yourself enough and open your ego up enough to learn from people that are better, and you'll make bigger jumps of progression, or it just might take you longer if you're hard-headed.
Yeah. Oh, I learned that the hard way too, because I find myself, the skill that I have is that I can grind hard and stuff like that. I feel like I get so far until I learn that I have to play it smart. And as soon as I learn from somebody who does it better than me, it's like, okay, you can do this and this. And it might not be for you, but you learn from everybody to piece it together to create something, right?
Amen. Like I always tell people too, take a break. Right? Like if all you're doing is showing houses nonstop, doing buyer tours, you're going to get so desensitized. Your language is going to suffer. A buyer that buys a house once every 5 years is going to show up and be like, what's wrong with this crazy person, right? Same thing with calisthenics. Like if all you're doing is back levers for 3 months, take a month off, come back to it and you'll hit it and you'll be like, what? Like it's confusing because you're stuck in your echo chamber and you're not getting creative. I just took some time off jiu-jitsu and I went back. Usually you get destroyed when you go back for your first roll. I had great rolls. Yeah. And it's just because I didn't overthink it. Yeah. Where like if you're rolling every single day, you can have a tendency of being like, I'm not going to get hit with an armbar today, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to darce this guy. Like you just go and overthinking it, and then you overthink it too much, and your muscle memory doesn't have a chance to catch up. So I think sometimes if you're struggling with plateaus, take a break from whatever you're doing, go do something else. Like if all you do is run, maybe start doing some lifting for a little bit. If all you do is lift, maybe hop on a bike and go for a bike ride, or go swimming, or just get out of your own head.
Almost keeping it fun too, right?
You got to enjoy it. Yeah, like Unplugged is a great book that talks about that. Just with our fitness tracking devices and everything else, it can be overwhelming. I'm pretty big on just doing like having fun and doing what you feel like doing, right? Like if you feel like stretching, go stretch. If you want to go for a run, or if the weather's turning and getting colder by the beaches, go enjoy that beach for one more time, man, because it's going to be gone quick. So enjoy your life.
For sure. Maybe to wrap this up, do you have a couple tips for our listeners, viewers, just to help improve their mindset, improve their life, or if they're struggling, maybe to get them out of that hole?
Yeah, I'd say go do something that you suck at and go learn a skill that you don't have, right? Like if I was going to dive into something right now, it'd be photography. I enjoy photography. It's not a focus right now for me. I have a team that does that for me, but I would dive into that and I'd go kind of change my mindset. If you're stuck with any negativity in your life or anybody that you feel is dragging you down, stop putting stock into what they're saying. Take responsibility for yourself and get yourself out of the whole, online communities are out there. There's amazing podcasts and people that came from the exact same place that you did and did it. And you got nothing to complain about. And I understand people have all kinds of conditions out there. And some people have had it really hard. But if you hear some success stories from people that have lived the hardest lives on planet Earth, if they did it, you can do it. So start focusing on positivity and take a step in the right direction, even if it's not a big step, even if it's journaling. Pick up a journal and put your thoughts on paper every day. And then go find somebody on Instagram that inspires you and start DMing them. I'm giving you tangible advice because I've done it where I text people or I message people that I never think I'm going to get a response from. And they give me a response and they tell me to read this book. And then I read that book. And then it leads me down a pathway to somebody else. And life's too short to not have fun and enjoy it.
That's it.
That's what it's all about.
Cool.
If they want to get a hold of you, where can they find you?
Everywhere. Even if you don't want to see me, you'll find me because I'm going to pay for ads and it's going to pop up on your phone.
Yeah.
I would say, our Instagram is probably the best place. If you go to primebrokerage.ca, that's our website that'll lead you to other platforms. Go to YouTube, Google, or just Google Prime Real Estate Brokerage. You'll find me. If you Google my name, there's a stripper in Vegas with my name. So maybe don't. Yeah, just stick to maybe the website and Instagram.
Yeah, we'll link that up in the show notes below.
Cool.
And thanks, man. We appreciate your time.
My pleasure. This is awesome. You guys are doing good work, so keep hammering.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Awesome.
Cheers, guys.